Okay, everybody, and welcome back to a relatively quick episode of Wesley the Writer. I am Wesley the Writer, so let's just go ahead and get into it. Okay, everybody, so before I start this episode, I just want to let you guys know that I am still working on being consistent with my uploads. I am still in the process of mapping everything out, and unfortunately, because I still have a day job I have to show up to, well, unfortunately, fortunately, however you want to shake it, or I guess however I want to shake it, it's just interfering with a every day or an every other day upload. I'm not saying that I'm giving up on anything if I miss a week or something like that, but I just want to let everybody know that for the time being, it's going to be like this. So, with that said, let's get into the episode. I want to talk about a topic that a lot of us are experienced with, and that is procrastination. Procrastination has been a really big issue for me coming up in the space, actually, of being a creator in general. And after looking over the last few years of my life, I've noticed that everyone has the exact same issue when it comes to sitting down and actually doing the thing that they said they want to do. And with that in mind, I really would like to just preface this entire thing with I feel for you, dog. So today's episode is going to talk about why I keep not finishing projects, and how I'm learning to forgive myself for not finishing things. Also, since everyone wants to be on the topic of canceling everything, how about we cancel project perfection? All right. Well, let's just go ahead and get into it. So, how procrastination leads to note taking. This is one of those topics where I feel as though if I'm going to be completely honest with everyone, uh, passion definitely gets you out of your seat. But passion, just like a campfire, needs fuel in order to continue to burn. And so, what I mean by that is, let's just say that there's this project. We'll call her Pretty in White because, like every writer knows, looking at that pretty fresh sheet of white paper is something you definitely want to get dirty. Innuendos aside, that white project, that Pretty in White project, that beautiful magnum opus that you're about to undertake and try to conquer, it's all in your head. It's something that got you emotionally invested, and you want to see this project through to fruition. So, what you do is you start writing down some base notes and you start taking your time with developing your characters, and you start to really try to piece the thing together. And then you get to the day of sitting down at your desk or wherever you do your writing, and you just go for it and you try to see how far you can get, how long it'll be, or like for if you're a screenwriter like I claim to be, you're looking at page numbers and you're looking at character interactions and does the scene work, and the conversations between your different characters and all that. You're looking at all of the detail, and you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing, which is writing the project. That's it. Like, the way how I had it explained to me, it was we're in a quest for the end. We are we are writers that are looking towards finishing a project and having everyone like, oh my god, your project is so amazing. You're such a great insert artistry here, and we can't wait for insert next project there. And at a certain point it gets to where you feel like expectations are super high, You've put these imaginary expectations on yourself for seeing projects all the way through, and you haven't even gotten past the first 10 pages yet. So it starts to bog you down. It does. For me, I know it starts to bog me down. And as I'm looking at this mess of ideas in my phone, that's how I do my notes. I write all of my notes down. You just start looking at it all like, okay, so what is the goal here? What am I really doing? And before you know it, an hour turns into 6, and you're still looking at page 12, and then those hours start to tick by until before you know it, 3 months passed, and you're still only halfway through with your rough draft. Listen, I think that the reason I really brought this up is just so that I could rationalize how I've been spending my time. And if this isn't you and you've already gotten past this point in your career, that's I'm great. That's so great. I'm happy for you. Continue doing what makes your process work the best for you. I just know that for me, it just seems like the end never comes. I'm sitting down. I'm looking at all of this work, and I get disinterested. And the passion that got me to start writing that Lovecraftian style short horror, well, it's just gone away. There's nothing else there anymore. I'm looking at everything that I wanted to accomplish with this project, and all I have is just a bunch of notes. So, disappointment and regret. At that point, when I'm looking at everything, I get to a point where I start to blame myself. You know, I get to a point where, yeah, I look at myself in the mirror every morning and I'm just like, well, Wesley, it's your own fault. You didn't take the time to finish, outlining how this one scene is supposed to be. You didn't have proper character development at the beginning of the first act. And so now by the time you get to your third act, everything seems like it's just dumb. It doesn't work. None of it works. And I don't even see the end of the project anymore. It keeps changing because I keep looking at a different video like every week about how the writing process is supposed to be and how you're supposed to follow formats and all that. And it bogs you down. It bogs you down. It bogs me down. And I'm just looking at again this this pretty and white sheet of paper that I failed to mess up, and it just makes me feel like I'm not even a writer anymore. Like I had an even recent like last week even. I'm looking at my name, Wesley the writer, and I'm like, am I even a writer? What have I done in the last few years except blame society or blame someone else for the things that I didn't do, or blame people who I allowed to take over my own time? And I actually started having physical responses to the visual regret of me not completing anything and just basically living my life in this self-imposed vacuum of content generation. It was like I was going for writing the best masterpieces that I could, but not actually making the mark, or just time wise, just energy wise. There was always something blocking me, I felt, from achieving what it was that I was trying to achieve. And so with that, I realized that I was falling into the same entrapment that so many other creatives have fallen into, and that was the creative block swan song. Writing, singing, drawing, painting, whatever. It was all the same. It's always been the same, and it's just a pity party, honestly. Knowing everything that I know now, I look at my past life and my past mistakes with all of the issues with me and my time management, it was all about the same sad song that everyone sings to themselves whenever things just don't work out. And that's not how we should be as creatives. And that's not how I realized that I shouldn't be as a writer. So let's talk about the best ways to get over this block. One of the best things that I've done is just to continue to write. And I'll touch back more about how I push past my perfectionism and trying to create the best masterpiece possible. I spent a lot of time trying to understand how it was that I acted as. I spent a long time trying to figure out how I wrote as a creator, like how to dissect what was making me not write. I spent a long time in my thoughts about the ways that I could get around me not writing, about how I could stop comparing my work to, say, you know, some other writer, just basically staying off of Twitter and ignoring all of the posts about, oh, I'm a writer and this is, you have to write every day and you have to do this. But I did just end up writing, and one of the ways that I did that was I realized after watching a creator, I think he said his name, Tyler Mowry, he was saying that you write not to write write perfection, but to just have something physical in hand so that you can go back and edit it later. The whole fix it and post mindset, that one thought process that I never thought I would actually agree with, but it kind of makes sense from a creating or being a creator standpoint. Because if you think about it, one of the things that you're trying to do as a creator is you're trying to get what's in your head out. You're trying to say, okay, I have this little snippet here of some cool thing that I want to achieve, and I don't have all the details yet, but I know that I see it. And so it's easier, especially in the beginning parts of when you have those passionate thought processes and stuff. It's like, just write it out, the whole thing, the whole story. People think that outlining is that part where you're getting all the details filled in to your outline, but that's not necessarily true when it comes to actually having the thing in your hand. My latest project, I'm calling it the Jackson Family Cookout. It deals with that, or rather, I've been dealing with that in the process of just trying to get the work finished and putting it out and letting it be what it is, messed up and all. Because then when I finish writing, I have the thing in my hand. I can literally see the brackets and what's wrong with it. Of course it's going to be messed up. That's the point. It's not supposed to be a thing that is just so perfect that we're just going to send it straight to a production company. We're gonna do the presentation of it there. No, that's not what we do. That's not how it works. The first draft is the most important draft because the first draft is that part that you hold. It's your baby. Woman goes to birth, boom, baby's out. Baby doesn't come out 30 years old with a mortgage and a wife. Baby comes out as a baby, and that's the point. It's your baby. So I've recently just completed that first draft, and it was crap. Only 58 pages. of just some weak lines of dialogue, some weak development, and all of this stuff. And it's supposed to be at least 90 pages of a screenplay. So I'm missing like a whole, third almost of the thing. But that's okay. You know, like that's the whole point of it. It's to have it in hand, like literally flipping through each page so that I can take it to my rewrite session. I can get my markers together and mark what's not working here, and I can start actually visualizing what it is that I actually want to put out there. And so I'm excited. I'm excited to get back into rewriting, and I'm excited to get this project finally completed, prayerfully within the next month or two, you know. But going from there, one of the most important parts about the writing process to get over that block is making deadlines for your work. And that's something that I've struggled with for a while, was actually doing that. Like, okay, this has to be done within a certain amount of time, because if not, well, procrastination is going to set in and it's just never going to get done at all. And we don't want that. That's like the worst part. Procrastination for me is completing the notes of the project, looking at everything, seeing that it's done, and then, well, forgetting about it. Like looking at looking at my project again. Let's go with the Jackson Family Cookout. Looking at the project as a whole, looking at it from when I had started writing it almost a year ago actually, and looking at where I'm at now, I see that over that long period of time, I had a lot of pauses. I started writing one thing and then I jumped to something else because that thing seemed cool, and then oh my goodness, this is the worst part. I actually started writing different versions of notes for my project on different platforms like Google Docs, and then jumping over from Google Docs to my phone's notes, and then jumping from that to writing little stickies on my computer. And it was a mess. It's a hot mess. Like literally, if you were to look at what I had did for this project, because I had so many ideas for it, like it would blow your mind just how ridiculous it all was. But it's okay, because I realize now that it's only because I didn't set deadlines for myself. That's the reason why it ended up being what it is now. But I did finish it. It's just the timing. It was just so painfully long. It should have been done last year. Honestly, this project, I should be second draft already completed. Like I should literally be talking about going into a pitch session at this time. But I'm not, because I spent so much time blaming myself and critiquing something that wasn't even finished yet. And that's where we have to stop as creatives. We have to stop the whole, woe is me, life happening, and I can't do anything to control it. Yes, you can. Make time for yourself, sit down, and just plan out what it is you want and how long you expect it to take. If you do that and you just write out your first draft and get a physical copy in hand, stop thinking about what everybody else is going to think about the screenplay that you've been talking about or the project that you've been talking about doing. Because the more that you think about that, the more you hold yourself back from actually doing anything. I think that as creatives, we tend to expect the most out of the least amount of effort we've put into something. Maybe we did put a lot of effort into it, but in those moments where we're looking at the stuff that we've completed, the things that we've done, we have the audience in mind when we do this stuff. We have the person that's going to be viewing our stuff at the forefront, and we shouldn't have that thought process. We shouldn't have the thought process that it has to be perfect when you put the chisel down, because that's not how you sculpt. You start taking chunks out. You get the ideal shape for what you want to start working on first, and then you start chiseling away layer by layer until you finally just come out with that big sculpture. It's that same process. And I don't know, maybe I'm just preaching to the largest choir in the world, and y'all already know that. But for me, I had to discover that. But not only discover it, I had to start living it. That's where it all comes down to. It's just living what you learn, living what you preach, basically, and understanding that you're not doing this for anyone else. You're only doing it for yourself. I'm only doing this for myself. I'm not looking for someone to show me praise or attention or give me some false sense that it was only because of them that this got done. No, it was my effort. I put in that effort to complete a project. It's completed. You can appreciate it, and I appreciate you appreciating it, but it's for me. I did this so that I could get this out of me. And that's the thought process. And that's the thought process I think we all should have. So, in conclusion, it's okay. It's okay to blame yourself, to feel the way that you feel. Your feelings are not invalidated here. And if anything, I sympathize with you. I feel like it's something, I feel like this is the type of conversation that needs to happen in creative groups, because if we don't start talking about being imperfect and we keep trying to push this false narrative that whenever you do something it has to be a certain way, people tend to fall off, and that's not how it should be. I remember when I was in the military going through boot camp. That's a story for another day. I had a passion even then to get out and do writing. I had a passion to get out here and write scripts and to be something else. I was at that time I was really just testing the waters about what was possible in my own life. But I realized that, well, now that I'm now that I'm pushing 35, it's like I spent a lot of time blaming myself for that period of my life where I was bouncing from pillar to post trying to make something stick because it didn't seem as though I was doing things right. I was doing things wrong. I wasn't focusing right. I wasn't paying attention right. I wasn't doing anything right. I felt that way. And it led me to miss out on a lot of opportunities that I feel I should have been a part of, but I missed out on. Jumping around on a project isn't ideal, but I get it. I get that the mindset of a writer specifically is that when we get a project in our head and we sit down and we start writing and things are looking good, we'll want to try another thing out. We'll want to say, hey, this worked, but I kind of want to jump to this other project, even though this isn't finished yet. I'm going to come back to it, I promise. But this thing right here is like popping right now. I want to get on this. Well, that's where procrastination really sets in, and we end up not completing anything, having a whole list of notes on our phones or on our tablet or whatever, in our notebook of stories that could have been, but are just lost to time. So it's okay to continuously write ideas, but have an idea of where you want to go with this thing. Do you want to have a finished script? Do you want to have a finished painting? Okay, well, write those ideas down, Don't put details to those ideas because you have a main project that you're working on. Set yourself to higher standards. Get out there and start putting yourself out there in the best light for yourself so that when people want to work with you, they're not looking at somebody who can't get the job done. They're looking at somebody who is task oriented, time managed well. You know, their resting state is progress. Get it out of your head and then get it right. Don't waste your time trying to be perfect on the first go. That's not how life works. And that's not how writing or being a creator works. You know, you're not going to have 1 billion followers just because you completed one project. Get to your 100,000th project and then let's talk. You know, but from there or from here, don't worry about it. Just write and be merry. Write and be merry. So I know that was the conclusion, but I think I'll end it with this. Passion has its place. And when we go outside of that place and we start trying to put passion behind everything with no substance to keep that passion going, our campfire goes cold and we're left in the dark. We're left in the dark in our careers. We're left in the dark with our social lives, you know, of all of these groups that we subscribe to try to make ourselves seem like we were something more than we weren't. I'm speaking from experience, but I don't know if that touched anybody. I got like 100 Facebook groups that I used to be a part of because I was trying to be the it guy, you know, the one that makes the films and gets the projects done. And every group that I've been in, I haven't accomplished a single thing. And I'm not saying that's you, but I know for myself, I put a lot of energy into other people. And because I did that, I ended up not completing myself. To put it bluntly, like I didn't finish developing me into the creator or the person even that I wanted to be, not until much later into my life. Even now at 32, about to be 40 next year, you know, it's like I'm at a place where I feel as though things in the past could have worked out better. I know that obviously the past is, you know, hindsight's 2020, all that. But if I'd have just taken that part of my advice and instead of trying to hang on the words of men and women who had their own agendas, I should have been focused more on completing the tasks that I set in front of myself to get completed. And then maybe I'd have been in a different place. You know, maybe it was just predestined for me to be here and to share my life experience with whoever's listening. But in the end, I guess what I'm trying to say is don't let the lack of support or don't let the perception that perfection is the only way keep you from achieving what it is that you're meant to put out. I mean, if you say you're a writer, write. If you are an artist of any sort, a creative of any sort, if you just want the promotion, whatever. I know this is sounding like a self-help book, but it is what it is. You know, work on those aspects of what you can do. And don't focus on perfection, just focus on consistency. I think that ties up, that one word ties up this entire podcast. Be consistent. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you say you're going to be a writer, you say you're going to finish that project, finish it. Just finish it. Finish it. Write it out and finish it. Don't be a 20-year-old me looking at Facebook groups, hoping that somebody picks them out of a crowd. No, be the one who had started your own thing, have your own work to speak for itself, and let the people come. Let the people come. Well, I can talk forever and ever about this thing. I have a lot of editing to do anyway, so that's it for today. So I guess I'll catch you on the next one. Until then, though, just take care of yourself, okay? Wesley out. Wesley the writer. Wesley the writer out. There we go. I'm so clever. No, I'm not.